Welcome back to On the Radar. I'm Eric Hillsberg, and this has been one of those weeks where individual stories start connecting in ways that reveal much bigger patterns. The Space Force just secured its largest budget ever, our allies are making military moves we haven't seen since the Cold War, and revolutionary technologies are moving from startup labs to military operations at unprecedented speeds. And buried in all of this are strategic decisions that are going to shape how we compete globally for the next decade. Let me show you what I mean. But first, a quick disclaimer. I'm the Aerospace product manager at MathWorks, the makers of MATLAB and Simulink, and a software supplier for many aerospace companies. And I want to be clear that all of the views I'm sharing today are entirely my own. The Space Force just got approval for a $40 billion budget, the largest in its short history. But within that massive number lies a strategic bet that could revolutionize military communications while simultaneously creating the exact kind of vendor dependency I warned about in our first episode. The service is essentially pausing its existing satellite program, the Transport Layer Tranche 3, to explore SpaceX's MilNet constellation instead. $0 in the budget for Tranche 3. That's not a delay, that's a strategic pivot. MilNet promises 480 satellites providing global military communications using SpaceX's proven Starshield technology. On paper, it's impressive. Fast deployment, proven hardware, potentially lower costs. But along with all of that, we're taking a big risk, putting a significant portion of our military communication infrastructure in the hands of a single company. Don't get me wrong, SpaceX has earned its reputation. But strategic resilience isn't about having the best technology today, it's about maintaining options tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, SpaceX has earned its reputation, but strategic resilience isn't just about having the best technology today, it's about maintaining our options tomorrow. When lawmakers from both parties start expressing concerns about vendor dependency, it's a signal that the risk-reward calculation isn't as clear-cut as the Pentagon thinks. What's really happening here is a fundamental tension between innovation speed and supply chain resilience, and we're seeing this tension play out across more than just our defense industrial base. We're seeing it at NASA, where the recent SLS rocket booster test failure and proposed budget cuts are accelerating fears of SpaceX vendor lock-in. When SLS missions cost $4.2 billion each, every technical setback pushes NASA further towards dependence on a single commercial provider, at least until alternatives prove themselves viable. If you want to hear about those potential launch providers, I covered them in episode 1. I'll continue following how these budget decisions are going to reshape the broader industry as that analysis becomes available. While we're seeing budget constraints and vendor dependency challenges in traditional programs, we're simultaneously witnessing an explosion of innovation in areas that could reshape how we think about both military and civil aviation. The Trump administration's push to accelerate advanced air mobility isn't just about flying taxis, though that's the headline everyone's focused on. What's really happening is the development of an entirely new category of aircraft and enabling technologies that could revolutionize everything from battlefield logistics to emergency response. Companies like Beta Technologies and Joby Aviation, along with others, are making significant progress in eSTOL and eVTOL development, developing capabilities that go well beyond conventional aviation. These aren't just planes and helicopters with batteries. They're platforms that could provide much quieter operations, reduced maintenance complexity, and, eventually, autonomous flight capabilities that traditional aircraft just can't match. There's a fascinating question about why this technology is reaching maturity now, and what the real trade-offs are between eVTOL and eSTOL approaches. Something I'm going to dive into in an upcoming video because there's specific forces driving this technological moment that deserve closer examination. The broader defense ecosystem is responding to these kinds of innovative startups by providing funding and infrastructure. Oracle just launched a defense-focused program providing startups with secure facilities and acquisition guidance, while Lockheed Martin introduced what they're calling AI Fight Club, a platform for testing AI products in government-like environments. These aren't just corporate initiatives. They're recognition that the next phase of military advantage is going to come from rapidly integrating commercial innovation with defense requirements. Speaking of new capabilities, we need to talk about what's happening in geospatial intelligence, because it's going to change how we understand threats and opportunities globally. Maxar's new Sentry AI system isn't just about better satellite imagery, it's about predictive intelligence, the ability to identify patterns and anomalies before they become crises. The technological innovations can also change the way we approach traditional problems. We're moving from reactive intelligence, here's what happened, to predictive intelligence, here's what's likely to happen next. There's a fundamental shift in how we approach everything, from disaster response to strategic planning. The challenge, as always, is ensuring that this technology enhances human decision making rather than replacing it. The best intelligence systems amplify human judgment, they don't substitute it. But we can't analyze American aerospace and defense in isolation. This week brought 3 international developments that signal how rapidly the global strategic landscape is shifting. Japan conducted its first missile test on its own soil, rather than relying on US or Australian facilities as it has in the past. It's a quiet but significant step toward greater military independence as Japan builds its own deterrent capabilities against China. In another major shift, the UK decided to purchase F-35A fighters specifically configured to carry tactical nuclear weapons. Britain is adding air-based nuclear component to its deterrent for the first time since the Cold War ended. When allies start expanding their nuclear arsenals, that tells you something about how they assess the current threat environment. While allies are taking on greater military responsibilities, NATO as an organization is also adapting. NATO released its first comprehensive commercial space strategy, establishing what they're calling a space front door to integrate commercial providers with military operations. A strong recognition that the next phase of military competition is going to be fought with commercially developed technologies. These moves reflect a broader pattern. Our allies are accelerating their own military modernization programs, often in areas they've historically relied on American capabilities. That's strategically positive for burden sharing, but also changes the dynamic of alliance management and technology sharing. So where does this leave us? I see 3 key trends that are going to define the next phase of aerospace and defense development. First, the vendor dependency question isn't going away. The Milnet decision is just the latest example. We've already seen NASA grappling with similar concerns about SpaceX dominance. We're going to see more debates about balancing innovation speed with supply chain resilience, and those debates are going to get more intense as competition with China accelerates. Second, the intersection of commercial and military technology is accelerating. Whether it's advanced air mobility, AI-powered intelligence systems, or commercial satellite constellations, the lines between civilian and military applications are blurring faster than our procurement systems can adapt. Third, our allies are accelerating their own military modernization. Japan's missile development, Britain's nuclear modernization, NATO's commercial space integration. The common thread is allies are taking greater responsibility for their own security, which changes the dynamics of how we work together. And frankly, the next few months are going to be critical for understanding where this all leads. Here's my bottom line. The winners will be those who can balance innovation with resilience, speed with safety, competitive advantage with strategic stability. We need to make sure we're making these critical decisions with our eyes wide open. What's your take? Are we moving too fast towards vendor consolidation or not fast enough toward next generation capabilities? I'd love to hear your perspective below. Thanks for watching On the Radar. If you don't want to miss any important advancements in aerospace and defense, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.